I am. Forms pass. From me they go, and again they come to me. Their returning is what men call destruction. Be not deceived thereby. I tear down only to build anew. Verily, destruction is the foundation of existence, and the tearing down thou seest is but the assembling of material for a grounder structure.
Mm. In other words, after breaking free from the bonds of self limitations, the fool is being struck by the thunder.
Yes, he is. He is. And it's only to prepare him for greater times, for uh, for the grand finale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The grand finale we're slowly getting into with the star and the moon and the sun and the universe or the world. But first, after the devil and after the death and the rebirth, after the dark night of the soul, we're clearing out the closet.
Yes. If you haven't figured out what card we are talking about, it's the card number 16 of Major Arcana, the Tower, Divine Intervention.
Yeah, divine intervention, sudden change, uh, yeah, upheaval, a
Oh,
process. Yeah,
oh yeah.
I actually, I remember pulling the tower as the first card in my life for myself, and finding it pretty scary at first.
Yeah, the tower may seem scary if we don't understand the meaning, and changes can be very scary. So I don't blame you. I would probably react like this as well.
Yeah, yeah,
But
but
I love the tower card because it brings changes which are necessary. The fool takes a leap of faith and steps forward on his journey, but the tower is that card and that lesson which actually brings him to the right path.
yeah, 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 and the right path only comes with clearing the things that are in the way. Just have to go. And that
Yes.
has always been so in the tarot. The tower is one of the original cards that we have seen since the beginning of tarot. I have
Mhm.
a Sforza deck from the mid 15th century, and the tower in that deck hasn't even changed in the come of time. So let's walk through the cards how they have developed over the years.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep, here we go. So we see in the ancient Tarot de Marseille, uh, lightning strikes the tower. The the top of the tower is seen as a crown, and the people fall down from the tower. There's three windows. They're traditional too, um, and so there's a lot of things that are coming back because we see the three windows in the Rider-Waite Smith again, a deck of 115 years ago. Same, but same story. And now the top of the tower is not looking like a crown; it actually is a crown, and
Mm.
so we're losing the crown. And of course, my favorite deck, Mr. Crowley, took a totally different road. He he took the Eye of Shiva, and when Shiva opens her eyes, the universe gets destroyed. There's change, but there's peace as well. Change in the snake, peace in the devil. We see the people are falling down as well as in the other cards. Here, the diamond shaped, and we see the mouth,
Of a beast. It's
the mouth
actually
of the
really
beast.
interesting because for the first thing what I saw is that continuation from the devil. I see that mouth on the bottom in the bottom corner as a devil's mouth and the tongues of fire. Absolutely amazing card.
Yeah. So it's and the meaning doesn't really change. The meaning only gets stronger because it's not only coming from above, but even from the earth.
How did you
Modern
pick the
decks,
cards?
yeah, still hang on to the lightning. This is the Tower of the Sevenfold Mystery, and even the Druid Craft Tarot, where we have the tower on top of an island,
Mm.
struck by lightning, and yeah, a very strong destructive power uh, of transformation.
Yeah. What is actually interesting, the Tower card, just like the Justice cards, haven't changed a lot. The people who are creating the Tower card didn't come with anything new, anything different. It's very, very similar. I have few decks as well here. It's more of a modern side. The first one here is a kind of like a church structure burning. So it signifies the changing of structures. Here there is fire coming out of, and the smoke, which the smoke represents transformation as well. And the Lightseer Tarot has a bit of different approach, but we see the thunderstorm here striking a tree, and the tree trunk is being divided into two pieces. The squirrel here living in that tree loses the home. I like this card. I really, really like this card because it shows that even in nature, changes are necessary and changes are inevitable. More of a classic look here without the crown, but it's still people falling out of the tower. There is thunderstorm and fire. This is the Morgan Greer Tarot. Bit of different, but almost the same. The Wake Me Up Tarot, which the more I show you, the more I start to like this deck. We see here a wedding cake being struck by the thunder as well, and a couple falling down here. And last but not least, I think that's going to be my favorite out of all, which brings the original meaning of the tower. Yes, there it is, with the spiritual side of the tower, and that's Osho deck. Absolutely stunning card, and it's called here Thunderbolt instead of the tower.
Very very strong cards actually, and but like you said, they're all that they share the lightning effect. They share the destruction coming from above. So they share actually the idea that this change is not necessarily uh, coming from within, but it has an external influence. And
Exactly.
that's yeah, and that's the big lessons that the fool has to learn. And I wrote down five of them. So um, we release a falsehood, letting go of control. Well, we see that. Embracing the change, something we have seen more often during this journey. Facing reality and rebuilding stronger foundations or rebuilding on stronger foundations. So, interesting cards are interesting topics.
Very. I mentioned that many times that I really love the tower card because it's just divine intervention. It brings you to a path where you're supposed to be. Um, yeah, let's talk about the release of the falsehood, because I think
Yeah.
that's a really important lesson, because it's a revelation of truth.
Yeah. You cling on to the illusions. Things can't change. Things uh, will always be the same until they're not.
Mm,
Until they no longer are there. I remember many times I have this card in a reading. Oh, so I have to change things. Well, I say yes, you can, and if you don't, change will come anyway.
mm. Yeah, a good example would be a person who feels stuck in a job they don't like, and the illusion that they have no choice but to be there is very strong. And let's say they are being fired, and all of a sudden it opens a new pathway ahead of them, and it shows them a completely new direction. So the tower is actually working in that person's favor because they're able to get out of that limiting situation, that situation that they weren't happy with, and opens new opportunities.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the that's and that's exactly what the tower encompasses. It's the false idea that the things cannot change, the things will always be the same. They get blasted. The idea gets blasted,
Absolutely.
and it can be painful. I always call a tower having the tower is a process. Like the ten of swords is a process. You go through again to a dark night of the soul. This time, it's not of your making. It's happening to you, but it's always you lose stuff you didn't have in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's the release of the falsehood. You had the idea you were in control, and you're not. You're not at all. So it's liberating, and it
Oh,
follows.
very.
Yeah, and it allows you to see stuff for what it really is. Mm,
Absolutely.
mm.
Absolutely. Very often we hold on to things which gives us a false sense of control. And the tower comes in to teaches us to let go of that control.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the second point we had on our list. So let go of control. So it's chaotic. It's chaos in our lives. It's uncontrollable, but you learn that sometimes when you get shaven, you have to sit still in order not to get cut. So go go with the flow. Go with um, yeah, go with the mess. Things you can't control, you let go. Things you can control, you change. But you, in this case, when the tower moment shows up, you're not fighting. You learn to surrender.
Yes, it's important to learn to not to fight against the forces. And just like you said, surrender, accept,
Surrender.
go with a flow, and trust that eventually the outcome will be what it should be.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
it
will be the
won't
best.
be what we desire, but the universe always has our back, and the universe will always make sure that we're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that brings us to the next point, which is embracing change.
Mm, I think that's
So
my favorite out of all because I love change. I thrive on change. Change is something I see as a positive thing. But many people fear of change.
we're all afraid of change. We're all afraid um, of letting go the things that don't serve us,
Mm,
and we should just embrace it and love change, because no, change often is for the better, is for the good, and hanging on to old structures is is clinging. It's not releasing, it's not freeing anyway. So you're 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 imprisoned in the tower. You're imprisoned in the tower, and then the tower crumbles,
yeah.
and you're set free, because that's the good thing.
Growth cannot happen without a change.
Yep.
It
Yep.
cannot. It's change is inevitable. It's one of those two things, sure things in life. One is change, and the other one is death, that we all will pass one day from this earth and this planet. But
Yeah.
change is something which we experience every day. Look at the weather outside, it's never the same. Look at our body, it changes throughout our entire life. So acceptance and embracing of change is something which is liberating, uh,
Yeah.
and that's what Tower teaches us.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course the point of facing reality.
Mm,
Like you said, the weather. is a real thing. Acts of nature, whatever nature throws at you, is the reality. Whatever even governments or other people throw at you is a reality. And sometimes finding the power to flush, to purge reality, to purge, to let go of what no longer serves, and facing that reality that this this is no longer here. This is no longer part of my life. I have to let go. This is real, and now is the time to move on.
Yeah. Not to mention that how many times we keep ourselves stuck in our own delusions. We want something so bad that we're so convinced, and we so hold on to that vision that we stop seeing things for what they truly are.
Yeah. Yeah, and that unreal vision of which actually is oftentimes related to our beliefs that we need this certain thing, we need this certain person in our lives, we need this certain job, we definitely have to have this car or this house and this person, uh, and they will lead to tower moments in your life because go with the flow, lads. Be real and yeah, and wake up.
Yeah, the tower will shatter those illusions,
Yeah,
because that's its purpose.
yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
if you don't, and that's definitely when you see this hanging on to beliefs that don't work. That, for instance, yeah, to take a good example, you have many people stalking artists because they
Mhm.
believe this and this person is for me.
Oh
Well, this
yeah.
person doesn't know you, is not interested in you, and definitely doesn't want you to take to stand on their front door and say, "Hello, it's me. I'm in love with you." No, it doesn't work like that. Get Be real, be real, and 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 let go and make place for someone else, for someone that does work for you. You know what I
It,
mean?
it takes me to another example of how many times people will pretend to be somebody else to fit in the group, or to have that partnership, friendship, or whatever. And when the tower comes in, that it and they get exposed, that can be actually a big challenge for them, but also an opportunity to finally set themselves free and be themselves again, without that lies, without that those illusions, and pretending to be somebody they're not.
No, and you don't have to pretend somebody you're not. Always be yourself. Unless you can be a unicorn or a Viking, then be that, of course.
Or a mermaid.
Or a mermaid, yes. So, yeah, so the tower invites you to be a bit playful as well, of course.
Embrace
And
your true nature. Don't be
yeah,
afraid of what other
yeah,
people will say.
yeah,
Because if you will pretend, I can guarantee you that tower will get you one way or another. Sooner or later, the
yeah,
universe will step in.
yeah. And that brings us to a point actually we didn't put in our slides, and we just talked about uh, that the tower, once you accept, once you go with it, once you make sure that the new life ahead of you is your life, brings awakening and enlightenment.
Exactly. Yes, and that's
Yeah,
what's seen on this card, and that's why I love Osho
yeah,
deck for combining those two truths.
yeah,
Yes, there it is. There it
yeah,
is. We see here chakras on fire,
yeah,
which the spiritual awakening
yeah,
brings the energy to our focus.
yeah, yeah. And that's so you see, and that's the very special thing of that card, because actually you see the tower being a body, being a
Mm,
person, and the person awakes through the flash of lightning, and the rude awakening of obviously, but the shock brings, the rude awakening, profound insights, revelations, changing everything. Yeah,
Yeah. I also see here Kundalini awakening, which is the life force and energy. I can't say those words here, but the passionate energy, let's call it like this,
yeah,
flowing through the body, setting our soul on fire.
yeah, yeah. And then yeah,
And it's
and
all
after
happening to create a new structure.
yeah, yeah, and that's when we get to the last point, which is actually um, rebuilding on a stronger foundation. Or that's um, the biggest example there is when you have an old house, it no longer serves you. It isn't modern. There's no. It's not insulated. It's you have to light a fire all day, and you have to tear it down. You come with your wrecking ball, and there goes the house, and down goes the house. We're bringing down the house, which is also a metaphor of the tower, and from this destruction, we can build something new.
Mhm. It's also laying the foundation for authenticity and being true to our own self, because you mentioned the idea of a house, but very often it's the limiting beliefs we have to shatter and create a new pattern for us, new beliefs, new thoughts, new way of actions, new way of behaving and making choices, which will lead us to a better future,
Mhm.
more aligned with who we are within our souls, within our core.
Yeah. And so there you yeah there you see that it's both on a spiritual as in a material level, that sometimes letting go um, of the old and breaking down the old, sometimes the old breaks themselves, you know. We all have it with the equipment we buy. It goes away, and we get something new, and oh, it's actually better than the last one I had. You
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just to summarize, the tower card is not about as bad as it seems, because it serves the purpose of restructuring and bringing us to where we should be rather than we are.
It does.
Mhm.
And yeah, so
What is
it's
your favorite?
resilient.
What is your favorite aspect of the tower card?
uh, yeah, I think definitely the making space for something new.
Mm,
Said earlier, it was the first card I ever drew for myself. I was kind of scary at the time. It was predicting a really big change in my life, where I had to go let go of, let's say, just about everything I ever possessed, had built up, and it was a complete wiping of my hard drive, wiping of my material world, wiping of my career, my wiping of my relationship.
and look at you now,
And,
stronger than ever.
and it, oh my goodness, my life has never been better than after that moment, and it
Mm.
keeps on getting better. So the restructuring actually was a big advantage.
Mm. And it's important to remember that if something crumbles down, it wasn't meant to last in the first place. Because if something's meant to last, it will last no matter what.
It will, yeah, it does, it does. So so for the tower.
We went through it like a thunderstorm, quick and easy.
We blasted through it.
Yes, so don't
Yeah,
be afraid of a tower card. If you come across it in the reading, it means that the better is yet to come, even though it may not seem at that moment, because obviously changes bring some challenges, but there is a brighter side and there is hope for the better future.
yes, there is.
With that said, please remember to like this video, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already for more insights on spirituality, magic, druidism, and of course, tarot.
And we're back every Monday at 8 with the live show. And we have another 5 weeks to go in the Fool's Journey. And
And the
really looking
best is
forward
yet
to it.
to come.
The
The
best is yet to
summer.
come because we had the tower now. We have wiped the slate clean and we're ready. We're ready for the grand finale.
Yes, and we're hopeful for the bright future and dreams coming true.
Yes, it is.
And with that, say bye.
Bye all. Goodbye.